that was quite literally myself with a laptop, and I think we generated compensation of around 10 million. There is no rhyme or reason as to the things that I've done across my career so far. We made a really basic prototype, went and pitched it to some retail finance people. On some occasions, quite literally laughed out the room. You'll never make that happen. That'll never work. There's no way you can do that. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, cutscene. We sold it to one of the companies that said we would never make it happen.
Thank you for tuning in to the Yorkshire Business Podcast. Today I'm sitting down with serial entrepreneur James. There's a pun in there actually. James, serial entrepreneur from Morning Glory. You're going to have to listen to it to find out what the pun is though. I'm proud as punch with myself because I love a good pun. My name's Chloe. I'm the founder of One Source HR and I'm the host of the Yorkshire Business Podcast.
So I'm James Jones. I'm born and bred in Doncaster. We're launching Morning Glory, which is a superfood enriched oat brand. What we're trying to do is put a new take on a quite tired category. So with overnight oats and porridge, there's not really been any innovation for a little while. I think all the brands are they're all really quite mundane, and there's nothing really happening apart from the odd bit of flavouring being added. What we're trying to do is have a superfood enriched blend, which gives you better nutrient absorption, improves the flavour, and everything's all natural. There's no additives, no added sugars or anything like that. We're in our real infancy, but it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, that is really exciting. I think when you were saying like there's not been much innovation around that, you can actually really see that, to be honest. I'm thinking about what I go in and see in the supermarket. I think a lot of the innovation in recent times has been about adding protein to everything. Yeah. Protein oats, protein cereal, protein this. I mean, going off on a bit of a tangent, but I've actually started looking at things a bit more to analyse that. Like they do, Baby Bells. Mm-hmm. So they do Baby Bells and Baby Bell Light. And then I saw one and it's in like a black packet and it's a protein Baby Bell. And it was like double the cost and it had something like 0.7 grams more of protein. Yeah. And I was just like, is this for real? Yeah. Like it can't be for real. A lot of it's down to like the marketing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, when we were looking for an opportunity for something to do together, myself and Kate, and we went into the supermarket purposefully saying, let's find a category that's tired, that's boring, that people consume every day, that we can do something different in. And when you look at the cereal aisle, about a third of it is dedicated to oats, which is quite crazy for how efficient supermarkets run. So it's selling. Yeah. So we just thought, we kind of thought, if we can do something where the branding is a little bit different, it's a little bit cheeky, it's got a bit of personality about it, and then we can elevate the product, we think we've got every chance that it'll be a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've come across it, but there's a brand, I think it's relatively new, it's gluten-free, and it's called Oaf.
All right, okay.
So it's like loaf, but without the L.
Yeah.
And the branding is like, it's really wicked, it's really, really out there. Right. But yeah, it appeared on the shelves, and we were just like, oh, that's amazing. Just bought into the branding, because it's really modern, it's a bit cheeky, it's like kind of like graffiti type thing, and it just captured you. So I think there is a lot to be said for branding that just captures people and stands out. Something like Morning Glory on the shelf next to Scott's Porridge Oats. It's going to look a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, part of what we're trying to do as well is have a serious product, but you can still have a little bit of fun with it. It doesn't have to be deadpan. I think everything is, like you say, it's all kind of protein based and looking at the sort of science behind it. You can still do that, but you can still put a smile on people's face in the morning. It is our goal. It's breakfast that gets you up in the morning. Is our strap line. We're trying to tread the line of being suggestive without being too crass, on the innuendo. It is, and there's a lot of categories at the minute where, like olive oil, sounds really silly. It's something that people use all the time, every day.
Yeah.
But when you look at olive oil, it's such a tired category.
Yeah.
And then you've got some really interesting brands coming in, like Glug, Citizens of Soil, and these kind of guys that are, it's ultimately it is the same product. It's a high quality product, but it's the same product in a brand that resonates with the modern consumer, and they're doing really well. And they're getting into some really great places with the supermarket listings and Whole Foods and all that kind of stuff. And that's really what we're trying to emulate, is put a more modern twist on the branding, a really genuinely good product. I don't see that we can go too far wrong. Hopefully, famous last words.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me, like, what are superfood enriched oats?
I mean, it's typically what a lot of people do already. They'll take their oats and they'll put typically flaxseed, chia seed, pumpkin seed, goji berries, these kinds of things. They'll mix them in, but that really requires quite a lot of purchasing of separate items and sort of maintaining the amounts that you keep in your house and what have you. You've then got the process of actually mixing it. Can you really, if you're in a bit of a rush, can you really be bothered, and all these things. And the other aspect of that is if you're putting whole seeds in, like whole flaxseed and whole chia seed, a lot of the time they'll just pass through and you don't actually benefit from any of the nutrients that they have.
Okay.
What we do is we mill and chop the seeds and the berries, so it actually releases the nutrients a lot more easily. So it's a lot more nutrient available, I think is the term.
Yeah.
It's just got a lot of vitamins, minerals, and all those kinds of things in there that people need.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think that's a really good, like, unique selling point for it to be good value for people and a good product as well. Because I think, especially now in like the influencer world, you can get bought into buying all sorts of crap. Like, and I do it. I take bloody collagen, this, that, the other, like every morning, scoops and scoops of stuff in a shake. And then you actually look at some of it and you don't realise, well, that actually doesn't work without that. It's like I found out that folic acid is not something that's like naturally occurring in your body, and unless you actually if you don't take it with, I think it's vitamin D3, nobody quote me on this, it doesn't actually absorb. You could just be wasting money, like taking something. And people do, don't they? They pour all this stuff on top of their yogurt bowls and whatever, but they're not getting the benefit from it.
Well, that again, don't quote me on it, but I'm sure there's someone that said multivitamins are just expensive wheat. Frankly, like, your body can only absorb so much at a time, and so often you just passing through. Like, it doesn't actually give you the benefits that you might perceive it or that you expect it to. Definitely. I think that is the case.
Catherine Ryan, she's a comedian. She has a podcast. I don't know if you've listened to it, but they talk about like people's lives and what they do and where they've been. But the whole thing is centered around your biological age.
Right.
So they've gone through this test, and then at the end they reveal what their biological age is, and they have like a specialist on there that says exactly the same thing, like how many of these are you taking and why. Like, it's not actually doing anything for you. I think we are perhaps, I hope so anyway, like moving into a time where people are a bit less easily influenced and a bit more curious about what they're putting in their body. Even like younger people now, when I was 16, water was like right low down on my agenda. But now, you see students at college and high school and stuff, they've got the big Stanley mugs full of water, and it's all about health and well-being.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there's a big shift as well towards natural ingredients and not having artificial things. One of our core principles is it should be an ingredient where when you read it you go, oh yeah, I know what that is. There's no big, long, sort of scientific sounding names. It is very much pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. You might not have seen these things as such or whatever, but you do know that it's a real food. And I think that, like you say, we've now got the generation growing up where you are walking around constantly with your water bottle, I know my son goes to school and every kid's walking in with a water bottle. That wasn't the case when I was at school however many years ago. So yeah, there's some really good habits being formed at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. And I think M&S have dabbled in that a bit, because did you see they did like a 3-ingredient?
Oh yeah,
cereal,
they've got the
chocolate hoops.
And it is literally like the packaging is the ingredients, and that's all they've listed.
Yeah.
Which again is great. It's really sort of transparent and upfront. People know what they're putting in their bodies.
Yeah.
I think it's a good term for everyone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, tell us about like your journey into entrepreneurship, because I believe there is a journey.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been entrepreneurial from being a really young age. I grew up. My dad is really entrepreneurial. He's always done his own things. So yeah, I think there was no question, to be honest, as to what I was going to do with my life. I think that when I went to uni, I did photography. I had no idea. I think I had every intention to do photography, but then when I got to uni, I realised I wasn't going to make the money that I wanted to make in life doing that. So I switched courses, set up a teeth whitening business. I think I was 19 or 20. We grew that to a network of salons around the country. There was about 50 salons, and we'd have my cousin work for me. She'd drive around and service all the clients. It was great. It was a real learning experience, and I think sort of credit to my parents for encouraging me and sort of giving me that confidence to do that. And then I've done a whole bunch of different things. I did a business that was for getting people compensation if they'd been missold solar panels, which sounds very it's very random. There is no rhyme or reason as to the things that I've done across my career so far. But that was quite literally myself with a laptop, and I think we generated compensation of around 10 million for consumers.
Okay. Wow.
I was a lead generator and worked with a couple of solicitors up in Newcastle. That was a really, really great business for me. And then my family had Robinson's at Bawtry, the designer clothing shop. That was fantastic because that gave me a real insight into the whole consumer journey for people coming in, browsing, how they would interact with a potential purchase in there. We'd have a whole range of customers, from millionaires that could buy £1,000 handbag because it was Tuesday and they fancied it, to people that were really aspirational consumers that they would come in, look at something. You could see them sort of dreaming of owning this thing one day, but they couldn't quite afford it in one go. What I did as part of my role there was I introduced traditional retail finance, which buy now, pay later, not buy now, pay later, traditional retail finance. So you're splitting it over 12 months, for instance, on an interest-free basis. We offered that in store, and what I found was that people were coming in and they were really highlighting some really obvious errors, or not really obvious issues with that product, where they'd come in, they'd want a Mulberry handbag, for instance, that was like £1,000. And you'd say, okay, which bag do you want? And they'd say, well, how much credit can I have? And I'll tell you which bag I want.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't really work like that. You need to pick your item, do your application, and you're either approved or declined. And we get people that were approved for a handbag, and then they'd say, oh, can I add a purse to that purchase? Right, it's actually another application, and it was just a bit of a nightmare. So then what happened over the course of a year or so was I developed my idea of what I saw the perfect retail finance product being, sketched it out on literal post-it notes, pitched the idea to my dad as the sort of first person to run it by. And then together we sort of made the decision that, right, let's see if we can make this happen. We made a really basic prototype, went and pitched it to some retail finance people, and were on some occasions quite literally laughed out the room. You'll never make that happen. That'll never work. There's no way you can do that. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, cutscene to 2019. We launched. We argued with the FCA that we should be approved approved by the FCA to be a lender. We launched the product, and then I think it was 2022, we sold it to one of the companies that said we would never make it happen.
Wow.
which is a real nice, real nice full circle thing. And yeah, I worked for them for a short period of time after as part of the deal. Didn't get on with working in PLC. Just, if you want to have the life sucked out of you, go and work for a bank. It's just a nightmare. Really didn't get on with that kind of culture and lifestyle. I very much like to have an idea and bring it to life, make it happen, see if it works or it doesn't. Being in that kind of PLC environment, you have an idea, you have to run it by every department, third-party compliance and all this kind of stuff, which is great for some people, but just not for me. So I left that role, and then really, probably for a couple of years up until just recently, drifted from one idea to another. I think when I sold the business, it was realizing a dream that I had from being sort of 12 years old to have this idea and sell this thing for quite a lot of money. I then sort of lost a bit of my identity. I didn't know what to do. Like everything was into App to Pay, the app. I didn't really know what to do with myself. So I drifted from one idea to another, tried a few different things, all kinds of things. A plastic-free soap for men. So plastic-free, it was a combined bar and shampoo to try and tackle plastic waste in men's grooming. What else did we do? We did Reveal, which was an employee wellbeing platform. We did that for probably 18 months. It just went nowhere. I think our experience was employers care about employee wellbeing to the point that they have to pay for it. Yeah, I mean, obviously you'll have a different opinion with your background, but
I think there's maybe some truth in that. Yeah,
it was a platform that would engage with the employees. We'd aggregate all that information, use AI to compile it and put it into a sort of step-by-step plan as to what the employer could do to try and make the biggest positive impact for the employees in the most cost-effective way. We had a couple of trial clients. When we would pitch the idea, people would like it. When it came to actually implementing it, I think there was a sense of this is opening up a can of worms we don't want to open. If we don't know about the problems, it's not our problem. It was our experience. So anyway, we stopped that earlier this year. And then myself and Kate were quite literally, we'd been talking about Liquid Death, the water brand, and how they'd taken what was a really tired category and just come at it from a totally different angle. And we literally walked over the road from my house to Tesco and walked around looking for opportunities. So yeah, it's a bit of a winding path as to what I've done. But I think that's a positive. I think if you pigeonhole yourself into one area of industry or whatever, you're really limiting what opportunities are there for you.
Yeah.
And I think when, like with the app, the Buy Now Pay Later app, when we pitched it, when we explained the idea to people that were doing doing credit cards, they saw it through a credit card lens and they couldn't get their head around certain aspects of it. When we pitched it to retail finance, they saw it through a retail finance lens and they couldn't get their head around other aspects of it. Coming at it from a fresh perspective as an outsider, you didn't have these preconceived ideas about, oh, it should work this way or that way or the other. Yeah. You take a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that and push it all together, and create what we think was a really great product. Yeah. But yeah, I think where we're at now, moving away from tech into real products that people actually consume that AI can't replace. Yeah. That's my focus now. Yeah. I think for me, the whole landscape of tech is moving so fast.
Yeah.
Where I sit, I'm not a developer myself. I need other people to do that. I think my safest bet is to be out of tech.
Yeah, I think it's something where, yes, there's a massive market, so there's a massive opportunity, but you could endlessly plough money in, and by the time you get to a point, it's already out of date because of the rate at which all this technology is advancing. And to an extent, I think it depends what arena you're operating in, but are there areas where actually it's quite saturated? So this morning, I've had a HR consultant on the podcast, and she is a HR information system specialist, so she helps businesses with implementation, scoping, all that kind of stuff. And she told me, which I was quite shocked about, is that there are 500 of these systems on the market in the UK.
Right.
So you can quickly see how it becomes really tired, and like for employers, you know, like, oh, another system that does something else, another thing to kind of pay for, and you're right as well about them not wanting to open that can of worms. You know, it's rare to find a business that wants to be so proactive in addressing the problems, even though there are so many benefits to doing that. Like, we know there's clear links between people, performance and profit in every business, but actually still so many businesses bury their head in the sand until it becomes a big issue that they've then got to deal with.
Yeah, what we did find was there was a little bit of a trend with businesses that had an incident, something that they'd maybe left it a bit too late, and then they were playing catch up. And we were saying to other businesses, you know, get ahead of it. You know, be proactive in this approach, and get ahead and provide the support that people actually need. But yeah, that it's I think it's not immediately putting money on the bottom line, so they're just so hesitant to do it.
I agree. It's I think it's really interesting to hear about like your background and story, and you can see like you've been inspired by who you've had around you, like your dad being quite entrepreneurial. For somebody that, you know, because you've known when to say like, nah, this isn't working, I'm going to step away, whether it was from PLC or whether it's from a new idea that you've been trying out. What advice would you give to somebody that's in that situation?
I mean, a lot of, to be honest, with Reveal, we should have stopped it a long time ago. I think ego was getting the better of me, because I'd had some success in the previous business with the app. I was sort of thinking, no, I can make this work. So yeah, realistically, we should have stopped it a lot quicker than we did. But I think it is, you've got to look at whether you still believe in it. Because I think ultimately, if you've lost faith in the project, then that's probably time to call it quits. With the PLC aspect, with the PLC opportunity, I looked at the people around me. I went from being myself and my colleague Dom at App2Pay, just the two of us, to being part of a team of 240 people in the company, 700 plus in the group. I was on the exec board. I was in the sort of top 8 people in the company. It was like a real culture shift. And I looked around the table at the people, and frankly, they were all sort of middle-aged to older white males. It was all very much one viewpoint on something. And when I looked at them, I did, in the kindest possible way, because they're all lovely individuals, but in the kindest possible way, I did think, if this works out, this is as good as it gets. I don't want to be that. I don't want to spend my life building something that I don't believe in. And the way the product was going under their ownership, I didn't believe in it anymore. So yeah, I think you've got to just listen to your gut, try and put ego aside, and be pragmatic as well. Is the opportunity ahead the best one for you? And if it's not, then move on. The quicker you can, the better, I guess.
It takes a bit of bravery and courage to do that, I think. But you know, in my experience, we have one life, but that can be filled with many different lifetimes. Like, you can reinvent yourself as many times as you want. Like, I went to university to do a chemistry degree.
Right.
So far away from what I'm doing now. Like, honestly, and when I was young, I always been quite entrepreneurial. I had a little business where I'd buy prom dresses off eBay and like rent them out. And I was like 16, 17 at the time. And then to think, you know, chemistry degree, dropped out of that, went to work as a receptionist in automotive retail, fell into HR, and now I specialise in something that's really unique. And rather than being a HR generalist, I'm more of a facilitator, speaker, and who knows where my career will go next. But just not being afraid to lean into something when you know it feels right, and trust your gut and step away when you think this is not for me.
Definitely. I think that for me personally, that is what's really exciting for me is I don't know what I'll do next, which is great. Like I think there's so much pressure on kids to what you want to be when you're older. I don't know, just happy. That's rarely an answer that they give. They'll say different career paths, but that's not always. It's not always. It doesn't have to be. There's one path. You can kind of swap and change if you choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important for kids to hear, and there's a lot of businesses that are trying to engage with children at a younger and younger age, and to an extent, yes, that is really important. But gosh, imagine if the focus was on how do you be happy, how do you be a happy adult? Because for sure we've got a mental health crisis.
So. I think that there's an area where you can really see that is football. Grassroots football for kids. You get kids that are 7 and 8 years old, and they're being put under so much pressure because people see it as this is the start of your career. So and so footballer was discovered at 7 years old. Therefore, if you need to be putting all your effort into it, and then you get kids that are really talented. They love the game, but they get put under so much pressure. They hit 12, 13, 14. If they've not been signed by an academy, they don't want to kick a ball, and it's like you've just taken away such a sort of beautiful aspect of their life because they've just been put under this intense pressure, and I guess it is that's maybe representative of life. It's too much pressure too early. It's just it's not good. I think I'm sort of lucky to be in the position that I have been, where I have had these opportunities the opportunity to explore different things. But with the way technology is now, you can try things for relatively low cost, and do side hustles and all that kind of stuff. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. And there's an element of luck, isn't there? And I don't want to come across as too Molly May. You might not know this, but when she said we've all got the same 24 hours in a day.
That's.
However, there isn't, to an extent, you make your own luck. I think you've really got to stay curious. And but believe in yourself, blind belief. People ask me how have you achieved this? How delusion. Delusion. Delusion and Red Bull. Occasional wine.
It's I think it's Daniel Priestley. I don't know if you know his books. I can't remember the name of them, but he talks about the circumference of luck and expanding your circumference of luck, and he talks about how if you have an idea and you sit on the sofa, your circumference of luck is tiny. It's not going to happen. If you go out and talk to a few people, then you're expanding that circumference of luck that you might attract a business partner or an opportunity or whatever. If you proactively go out and seek the right people, it's really, that whole circumference of luck aspect, I think, is a really interesting way of looking at things. And I think so much of how you view the world and how you view what impact you can have on the world. I think that's really, really quite interesting. Where I went to Hill House private school up until I was, I think, 12 or 13, and then I went to state school after that. And not as a complete rule, but generally speaking, the attitude of the kids at private school was very much, why not me? I can have an idea, and why can't I be the one to take it out and make it happen? And then at state school, it was sort of not that. It was very much, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Completely, as it turns out, kids from state school have done amazing, kids from private school have done crap. It's a whole mix. But it was that attitude of seeing the outlook on what you can actually achieve. It is something that I think I'm really lucky to have the foundation of life that I've had. And certainly, my parents, how incredible, they're ridiculously supportive. really lucky in that regard. So yeah.
No, brilliant. I think any initiatives that we can to encourage young people and children to think like creatively and be more entrepreneurial and explore that, especially for the future. Like, the amount of available jobs, it is declining. That is the truth. Like, people will sit there and talk about AI and say like, oh, your job's not going to disappear, it's just going to change. Some jobs are going to disappear. The facts and the data tell us that it's happening already. So we do have to encourage young people to not rely on the fact that you're born, you go to school, you get a job,
this sort of linear path.
You die.
How
miserable is
How
that?
inspiring.
And you eat your morning glory every day.
Exactly. Come on.
Bringing it back. Bringing it back kind of full circle. You're in the early stages now. What's next?
So just yesterday we received some freestanding display units, all branded up and made really nicely by a company in Chesterfield. We've got our properly printed packaging arriving next week, hopefully. So we're sort of transitioning from really rough and ready, very much off the shelf packaging with stickers on. We're trying to sort of professionalise that aspect of it, and then we're going to be hopefully going into some retailers pre-Christmas. We know we're very, very late with that, but what we're hoping is that we can provide the display space, provide the stock on a sale or return basis, and just get some feedback on sell-through rates when it's on the shelf. We're doing markets and stuff at the minute, but we're very much selling it to people. We need to see how does it perform when it's just stood on a shelf in a retail environment. And then hopefully in the new year we'll be doing a raise to try and scale up production and get into a few more places. That's it's really exciting to be doing it with Kate. She's from a sort of creative agency background, project management and account management. She's one of those people that just kind of exudes a warmth that you can't not like. Whereas I'm not naturally extroverted. I'm quite introverted typically, so this is very out of my comfort zone. But I think between us we have a really good complementary skill set that I'm really hopeful we can make something happen. The long-term goal is supermarkets and mass distribution, and everybody's eating Morning Glory every day. For now we're aiming for farm shops, health food stores, garden centres, anywhere where we can get into the business, speak to the owner typically, and put some product in. That's our sort of goal over the next sort of 3 to 6 months. Beyond that, who knows?